Commander Zixthara stood 7 feet tall in the briefing room of the Valorian warship. Her thick, gray skin looked like natural armor. Scars covered her arms and face from dozens of battles. Each scar told a story of victory against another weak species. The hologram in front of her showed a small planet called Kepler-442b. It was nothing special. Just another mining colony that the Valorian Empire had easily destroyed 3 weeks ago. The humans who lived there had fought back for maybe 6 hours before their defenses fell. "Your mission is simple, Commander," said General Korth. His voice was deep and rough. One human survived the attack. A female called Dr. Elena Vasquez. She has been hiding somewhere on the planet. Find her and bring her back alive. Zixthara's mandibles clicked together in annoyance. This was insulting. She was one of the Empire's best warriors. She had conquered entire worlds and defeated alien champions in single combat. Now they wanted her to hunt down one scared human? Sir, with respect, why not send a regular patrol unit? Humans are weak creatures. They have soft skin and no natural weapons. Their technology is primitive. Any soldier could capture one frightened survivor. General Korth's eyes grew cold. "You question your orders, Commander?" "No, sir. I just wonder why this particular human needs my attention. What makes her special?" The general touched the control panel. The hologram changed to show security footage from the mining colony. Zixthara saw small human buildings made of metal and concrete. Everything looked fragile compared to Valorian architecture. This Dr. Vasquez was some kind of engineer, Korth explained. She worked with the mining equipment. Our intelligence says she might know things about human technology that could be useful. The High Command wants her alive and unharmed. Zixthara watched the footage of humans running when the attack began. They looked so small and weak. Their weapons barely scratched Valorian armor. Most of them died within minutes of the first assault. "How has she stayed hidden for 3 weeks?" Zixthara asked. "Unknown. 3 patrol teams have searched for her. They found no trace. Perhaps she is already dead, but we must be certain." The commander studied the planet data. Kepler-442b was mostly rock and metal with thin air. Perfect for mining, but not comfortable for most life forms. Humans could barely breathe there without help from machines. "The mining tunnels go deep underground," Korth continued. "Miles and miles of passages. She could be anywhere down there. But Commander, remember, this is a simple cleanup mission. Do not overthink it." Zixthara felt her pride sting. A cleanup mission. That was what they gave to new soldiers or warriors who had failed in real battles. She had served the Empire for 20 years. She had never failed a mission. "I understand, sir. When do I leave?" "Your transport is ready now. Take whatever equipment you need. But remember, we want her alive." An hour later, Zixthara stood on the surface of Kepler-442b. The air was thin and cold. Her breathing mask filtered the atmosphere, but she could still smell something strange. It took her a moment to recognize it. Fear. Old fear that still hung in the air from the attack. Weeks ago, the human colony had been built around the main mining site. Zixthara could see the damage from the Valorian assault. Burn marks on buildings. Holes blasted in walls. Broken machines scattered everywhere. She walked through the empty streets. Human bodies had been cleared away, but signs of the battle remained. Valorian weapons left specific burn patterns. Human weapons left tiny scratches that barely marked the pavement. "Pathetic," she muttered to herself. Her scanner showed no life signs in the main colony area. That meant Dr. Vasquez was either dead or hiding somewhere deeper. Zixthara checked her equipment one more time. Motion detector, thermal scanner, plasma rifle, and emergency supplies for 3 days. 3 days should be more than enough. Probably too much. She found the entrance to the main mining tunnel. The heavy metal door had been blown open during the attack. Inside, emergency lights still flickered, casting strange shadows on the tunnel walls. Zixthara activated her scanner and stepped into the tunnels. The passages were narrow by Valorian standards. Humans were smaller than her people, so they built everything to fit their tiny bodies. The scanner showed the tunnel system was huge. Miles of passages connected mining sites, storage areas, and workstations. Perfect place for a scared human to hide. She started walking deeper into the mountain. Her heavy boots made loud sounds that echoed through the passages. Let the human hear her coming. Fear would make the hunt easier. But after 2 hours of searching, Zixthara found nothing. No heat signatures. No movement. No trace that anyone had been in these tunnels recently. She stopped at a junction where 5 passages met. Her scanner showed all directions were clear. This made no sense. 3 patrol teams had searched these same tunnels. If Dr. Vasquez was down here, someone should have found some sign of her. Maybe the human was already dead. Maybe she had died in the first attack and her body was buried under rubble somewhere. That would explain why no one could find her. But as Zixthara prepared to report back that the target was probably dead, something caught her attention. A small mark on the tunnel wall. It looked like someone had scratched numbers into the metal. Human writing. She moved closer to examine the marks. They were fresh, made within the last few days. Someone had been here recently. Someone who used human writing. Zixthara felt a small thrill of excitement. The hunt was not over after all. Dr. Elena Vasquez was somewhere in these tunnels. And now Zixthara had her first clue. She checked her weapons and started, following the passage that led away from the marked wall. Soon she would have her prize. Then she could return to real missions worthy of her skills. Behind her, in the shadows of the tunnel junction, a small camera that she had not noticed recorded everything she did. Dr. Elena Vasquez watched from far away, studying her hunter carefully. Zixthara followed the tunnel deeper into the mountain. The scratched numbers on the wall had to mean something. Maybe they were directions or some kind of human code. She did not really care what they meant. They were proof that her target was alive and moving through these passages. Her scanner picked up more signs as she walked. Disturbed dust here. A small piece of fabric caught on a sharp rock there. Dr. Vasquez was trying to hide her trail, but she was not very good at it. Humans were not natural hunters like Valorians. After another hour, Zixthara reached a large chamber carved out of the rock. Mining equipment filled the space. Huge machines for cutting stone and moving ore. The humans had left everything behind when they fled. Her scanner suddenly beeped. Heat signature detected. Something warm was moving in the chamber. Zixthara smiled and drew her plasma rifle. Finally, after hours of walking through empty tunnels, she had found her prey. She moved carefully between the large machines, following the heat reading on her scanner. The signal led her to a pile of metal containers stacked near the far wall. Someone was hiding behind them. Zixthara could hear quiet breathing. The sound was fast and nervous. Good. Fear would make the capture easier. Dr. Elena Vasquez, she called out in human language. I am Commander Zixthara of the Valorian Empire. You will come out now and surrender peacefully. Silence. I know you are there. My scanner shows your heat. Come out and this will be quick and painless. Fight me and I will make it hurt. Still no answer. Zixthara moved closer to the containers. Her rifle was ready to fire, but she remembered the orders. The target must be taken alive. She would use the stun setting. Last warning, human. Show yourself now. When no one came out, Zixthara stepped around the containers to grab her target. But instead of a frightened human woman, she found a small heating unit. It was running at full power, creating the heat signature her scanner had detected. What? She stared at the machine, confused. Where was the human? Her answer came in the form of a loud crack above her head. Zixthara looked up just in time to see a massive piece of mining equipment falling straight toward her dot. She dove to the side as a metal cutting blade crashed into the floor where she had been standing. The impact made the whole chamber shake. Pieces of rock fell from the ceiling. Impossible, Zixthara whispered. How had a human moved such heavy equipment without making noise? The cutting blade weighed at least 2 tons. A voice echoed through the chamber from hidden speakers. Commander Zixthara of the Valorian Empire. Welcome to my home. The voice was calm and steady, not scared at all. This confused Zixthara even more. Dr. Vasquez, show yourself, and this ends quickly. I think I prefer to stay hidden for now. You seem a little aggressive for a peaceful conversation. Zixthara looked around the chamber. Speakers were built into the walls as part of the mining facility's communication system. Dr. Vasquez could be anywhere in the tunnel network, talking through the speakers. You cannot hide forever, human. I will find you. Maybe, but not as easily as you thought. Tell me, Commander, what do you know about mining? The question surprised Zixthara. What does that matter? Everything in these tunnels is connected. Power systems, communication lines, structural supports. When you know how it all works, you can make interesting things happen. As Dr. Vasquez spoke, lights began turning on and off throughout the chamber. Machines started and stopped randomly. A crane moved back and forth overhead. Zixthara realized with growing alarm that the human was controlling everything from somewhere else. The entire mining facility was like a weapon in her hands. Impressive, but you are still trapped in these tunnels with me. There is only one way out. Actually, there are 17 different exits from this tunnel system. I helped design the emergency evacuation routes. Would you like to see one? Without warning, the floor beneath Zixthara's feet began to move. She looked down and saw that she was standing on a mining platform used to move equipment. The platform started sliding toward a large hole in the chamber wall. Zixthara jumped off the platform before it could carry her into the unknown passage. She landed hard but kept her footing. Her rifle was still ready. Clever tricks, human. But they will not save you. They don't need to save me, Commander. They just need to slow you down. Zixthara heard a new sound. Water rushing somewhere nearby. Her scanner showed that several pipes had opened in the walls. The chamber was starting to flood. The mining operation needed lots of water, Dr. Vasquez explained through the speakers, for cooling equipment and washing ore. I redirected the flow to this chamber. In about 10 minutes, you'll be swimming. The water was already ankle deep and rising fast. Zixthara looked for higher ground, but the chamber floor was mostly flat. She could climb on the mining equipment, but that would not help her catch her target. You think this water trap will stop me? I can survive underwater longer than any human. I'm sure you can. But can your equipment? Zixthara looked at her scanner. Water was bad for most electronics. If her scanner failed, finding Dr. Vasquez in these tunnels would become much harder. She decided to retreat to higher ground and rethink her strategy. This human was not behaving like the frightened survivor she had expected. Dr. Vasquez had turned the mining facility into a fortress and herself into its commander, Zix. Thara waded through the rising water toward the chamber exit. Behind her, she could hear machines starting up. Dr. Vasquez was probably setting more traps. This is not over, human, she called out. I know, came the reply through the speakers. But it's going to be much more interesting than you thought. As Zixthara reached the tunnel entrance, she stepped on something that clicked under her foot. She looked down and saw a small device attached to her boot. What is this? A tracking device. Human technology. Very simple, very reliable. Now I'll always know where you are, Commander. Just like you're trying to track me. Zixthar tried to remove the device, but it was stuck firmly to her armor. The human had tagged her like an animal. For the first time since arriving on this planet, Zixthar felt something she had not experienced in years of conquest. Respect for an opponent. Dr. Elena Vasquez was not a frightened survivor. She was a warrior in her own way. And this hunt had just become very personal. Zixthara spent the rest of that day trying to remove the tracking device from her boot. The small human gadget was stronger than it looked. Every time she thought she had broken it free, it clicked back into place. She had to admit, grudgingly, that it was clever. Now the human could watch her movements, just like she was trying to track the human. Dr. Vasquez had turned the hunt into a fair fight. That night, Zixthara made camp in a side tunnel away from the main mining areas. She reviewed everything that had happened in the flooded chamber. The human had shown tactical thinking and preparation. The trap with the falling cutting blade. The water diversion. The tracking device. None of it was accident or luck. Dr. Vasquez had planned for someone like Zixthara to come hunting her. While Zixthara ate her field rations, she accessed the colony's computer system through her portable terminal. Maybe the human's background files would explain how a mining engineer could fight like a trained soldier. Dr. Elena Vasquez, age 34, born on Earth Colony, New Santiago. Education in engineering and geology. No military service listed. No combat training mentioned anywhere in her file. The record showed she had worked on Kepler 442b for 2 years. Her job was designing and maintaining the mining equipment. She lived alone in a small apartment in the colony. No family on the planet. According to the files, Dr. Vasquez was exactly what she appeared to be. A civilian engineer with no fighting experience. So how had she survived the Valorian attack? How had she learned to set traps and control the mining facility like a weapon? Zixthara found security footage from the day of the attack. She watched human soldiers trying to defend the colony. They fought bravely, but died quickly. Their weapons could not penetrate Valorian armor. Their tactics were simple and predictable. But in one recording, she saw something interesting. When the colony's defenses fell, Dr. Vasquez was not running away with the other civilians. She was running toward the mining facility. While everyone else fled in panic, she had a plan. The footage showed her in the main control room, working frantically at computer terminals. She was downloading data and sending messages. Even with explosions happening all around the colony, she stayed focused on her task. In the last recording before the control room was destroyed, Dr. Vasquez looked directly at the security camera. Her face was dirty and tired, but her eyes were determined. She was not a victim. She was a fighter. Zixthara turned off the terminal and tried to understand what she had seen. This human had somehow transformed from a peaceful engineer into a dangerous opponent in just a few hours. How was that possible? The next morning, her scanner picked up new activity in the tunnel system. Someone was moving through passages several levels below her position. Dr. Vasquez was active again. Zixthara followed the signals deeper into the mine. She was more careful this time, watching for traps and hidden devices. But after an hour of careful tracking, she realized something was wrong. Her scanner showed movement, but she never got closer to the target. It was like Dr. Vasquez was always exactly the same distance away, no matter which direction Zixthara went. Then she understood. The signals were false. Dr. Vasquez was using the mining facility systems to create fake heat signatures and movement readings. She was making Zixthara chase ghosts. Clever human, Zixthara said out loud. "Thank you," came a voice from speakers in the tunnel wall. "You're learning." Zixthara was not surprised to hear Dr. Vasquez's voice. The human seemed to be watching her constantly, "What do you want?" Zixthara asked. "Right now? I want you to see something. Take the passage to your left and follow it for half a mile. There's something there that might interest you." "Why would I do what you ask?" "Because you're curious. Valorian warriors are proud, but they're not stupid. You want to understand how a weak human engineer has been giving you so much trouble." Dr. Vasquez was right. Zixthara was curious. Against her better judgment, she took the left passage. The tunnel led to a natural cave that had been expanded by human mining equipment. But this was not a working mine. It was something else. Emergency lights showed a large open space filled with supplies and equipment. Medical supplies were stacked near one wall. Food and water containers filled another area. Sleeping areas had been set up with blankets and pillows. This was a shelter, a place where people could hide and live for weeks or months. But the most surprising thing was that it was occupied. A dozen human faces looked at Zixthar from the shadows. Men, women, and children who had survived the attack on the colony. An old man stepped forward. His clothes were dirty, and his face was thin from not eating enough, but he did not look afraid. "You must be the Valorian hunter," he said. "Elena told us you might find this place eventually." Zixthara raised her rifle, but the old man did not move. "Where's Dr. Vasquez?" "Safe. Away from here. She knew you would follow the signals to this place." Zixthara looked around the shelter again. These humans had been living here for 3 weeks. Dr. Vasquez had not just been hiding from the hunt. She had been protecting other survivors. "How many of you are there?" Zixthara asked. 14 in this shelter. Elena has been taking care of all of us, bringing food and medical supplies, setting up defenses. She saved our lives." A small human child stepped out from behind the old man. The girl looked maybe 7 years old. She was holding something in her hands. "Are you here to hurt us?" the child asked. Zixthara stared at the girl. In 20 years of conquest, she had fought many species, warriors and soldiers and desperate defenders. But she had never been asked such a simple, direct question by someone so young. "I am here to capture Dr. Vasquez," she said finally. The girl held up what was in her hands. It was a small carving made from stone, a figure of a warrior with a weapon. "Elena made this for me. She said it would keep me safe. Do you think it will work?" Zixthara looked at the carving. It was crude but recognizable. The figure looked like a Valorian warrior. Dr. Vasquez had made a toy that looked like the enemy to comfort a frightened child. "I do not know," Zixthara said. For the first time since arriving on this planet, she lowered her weapon. Dr. Vasquez's voice came through the speakers again while Zixthara stood in the shelter with the human survivors. "Commander, we need to talk. But not here, not with the others listening. Meet me in the main mining control center in 1 hour. Come alone and leave your weapons outside." Zixthara looked at the humans around her. They were all watching her carefully, but none of them seemed afraid anymore. The old man was even smiling slightly. "You will not run?" she asked him. "Where will we go?" "This is our home now. Elena made sure we would be safe here." The small girl with the stone carving walked closer to Zixthara. "Will you really hurt Elena?" "I have orders to capture her," Zixthara said. She realized she had not said she would hurt Dr. Vasquez. When had that changed? "Orders are different from wanting to do something," the girl said. "My daddy had orders to work in the mines, but he wanted to play with me instead." Zixthara stared at the child. Such a simple observation, but it hit her like a weapon. Yes, orders were different from desires. She had orders to capture Dr. Vasquez, but what did she actually want? An hour later, Zixthara stood outside the mining control center. It was the same room she had seen in the security footage. The place where Dr. Vasquez, had worked frantically during the attack while the colony was being destroyed around her. Following the humans' instructions, Zixthara left her plasma rifle and scanner by the entrance. She kept only a small emergency communicator. The door opened automatically when she approached. Inside, the control room was dark except for the glow from computer screens. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat at one of the terminals with her back to the door. "Thank you for coming, Commander. And thank you for leaving your weapons outside." Zixthara got her first clear look at her target. Dr. Vasquez was smaller than she had expected. Maybe 5.5 feet tall with dark hair, pulled back in a simple style. Her clothes were practical work clothes. Dirty from weeks in the tunnels, she looked tired and thin, but when she turned to face Zixthara, her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "You are not what I expected," Zixthara said. "Neither are you," Dr. Vasquez replied. "I watched you in the shelter. You could have hurt those people, but you chose not to." "Why?" Zixthara did not have a good answer. "They are not my mission target. That's not why." Dr. Vasquez stood up from the terminal. "You could have used them as hostages to force me to surrender. Instead, you left them alone. That tells me something about who you really are. You know nothing about me, human. I know more than you think. I've been studying your people since the attack. Valorian military records, cultural data, historical files. Your species values strength and honor in battle. You respect courage, even in your enemies." Dr. Vasquez walked to another terminal and activated a wall screen. It showed star maps and data files about the Valorian Empire. "I also know your people have conquered 47 different species in the last 50 years. Most of those conquests were quick and easy. You faced very little real resistance." Zixthara felt defensive. "We are efficient warriors." "You are. But efficiency against weak opponents doesn't prepare you for real challenges. Your military doctrine assumes that superior technology and physical strength will always win. They usually do. Usually, but not always." Dr. Vasquez changed the display to show footage from recent Valorian battles. "Look at these recordings. Your soldiers fight the same way against every enemy. Overwhelming force and direct assault. It works against primitive species with simple weapons." Zixthara watched her own people in action. They moved like unstoppable forces, crushing resistance with brutal efficiency. She had always been proud of Valorian military power. "What is your point, human?" "My point is that your people have forgotten how to fight against an enemy that thinks differently. An enemy that doesn't meet you head-on in direct combat." Dr. Vasquez switched the display again. This time, it showed human colonies throughout space. Hundreds of worlds with millions of people. Humans are not like the other species you've conquered. We don't have natural armor or enhanced strength. Our technology is not the most advanced in the galaxy. But we have something else. What? We adapt. We learn. We change our methods based on what works and what doesn't. And most importantly, we share what we learn with each other. Dr. Vasquez highlighted communication networks connecting the human colonies. Every battle your people fight against humans is recorded and analyzed. Every tactic you use is studied and countered. Every weakness you show is noted and exploited. Zixthara felt a cold sensation in her stomach. "You are saying humans are preparing for war against the Empire. I'm saying humans are preparing to survive. There's a difference." Dr. Vasquez walked back to her chair and sat down heavily. She suddenly looked very tired. 3 weeks ago, this colony had 8,000 people. Now there are maybe 50 survivors scattered in hidden shelters. Your people killed my friends, my colleagues, people I cared about. For the first time, Zixthara heard emotion in the human's voice. Sadness and anger, but also something else. Determination. "But those people didn't die for nothing," Dr. Vasquez continued. Every minute of the attack was recorded. Every weapon you used was analyzed. Every strategy was documented and sent to other colonies before your people could stop the transmissions. She turned back to the terminal and pulled up files full of technical data and tactical reports. Other human colonies now know exactly how Valorian assault ships approach a target. They know how your soldiers move and fight. They know what weapons work against your armor and which ones don't. Zixthara stared at the data streaming across the screens. This was all planned. You turned your colony's destruction into an intelligence operation. Not planned, adapted. When it became clear we couldn't win a direct fight, we changed objectives. Instead of trying to defeat your attack, we focused on learning from it. Dr. Vasquez stood up again and faced Zixthara directly. That's what makes humans dangerous, Commander. We don't just survive disasters. We learn from them. We become stronger. And what have you learned about me during our hunt? That Valorian warriors are not unstoppable. That they can be confused, frustrated, and outsmarted by someone weaker than they are. That they can choose mercy when they could choose violence. Dr. Vasquez smiled slightly. And that information is already on its way to every human colony in this sector. Zixthara stared at Dr. Vasquez for a long moment. The human's words echoed in her mind. Information about Valorian weaknesses was already spreading to other human colonies. The hunt had never been about one survivor hiding in mining tunnels. It had been about something much larger. You used me, Zixthara said finally. I used the situation. You were hunting me, so I made sure that hunt would teach humans how to fight Valorian warriors. Every move you made, every tactic you tried, every decision you made was recorded and analyzed. Dr. Vasquez gestured to hidden cameras throughout the control room. Your people will probably win the next few battles against human colonies. But each victory will cost more and take longer. And eventually, you will start losing. Zixthara felt something she had never experienced before. Not anger or frustration, but a deep, cold fear. Not fear for herself, but fear for her people. The Valorian Empire had always won through superior strength. What would happen when strength was not enough? How long have humans been preparing for this? Since first contact with your people 12 years ago, the Empire announced its expansion plans publicly. You made no secret that you intended to conquer or destroy every other intelligent species in this region of space. Dr. Vasquez pulled up more data on the screens. Communications between human colonies, research projects, military preparations, years of careful planning. Humans had a choice: submit to conquest or fight back. But we couldn't win a direct war against your superior technology. So we chose a third option. We decided to become the kind of enemy you were not prepared to fight. What kind of enemy is that? Patient, adaptive, connected. Dr. Vasquez highlighted the communication networks again. Every human colony shares information instantly. When you develop a new weapon, we know about it within days. When you change your tactics, we adjust our defenses immediately. When you conquer one of our worlds, the other worlds learn from that defeat. Zixthara walked closer to the screens, studying the vast network of human colonies. She had thought of them as separate, weak targets. But they were not separate at all. They were parts of one enormous organism that learned and grew stronger from every attack. This is not how war is supposed to work, she said. No, it's not. Traditional war is about armies fighting armies. Battles with clear winners and losers. But humans don't fight traditional wars when we can't win them. We fight survival wars instead. Dr. Vasquez changed the display to show something that made Zixthara's breath catch. Technical specifications for new human weapons designed specifically to counter Valorian armor. ship designs built to outmaneuver Valorian vessels, battle tactics developed around Valorian weaknesses. This technology. How is this possible? Human science is supposed to be primitive. It was primitive. 12 years ago, our weapons couldn't even scratch Valorian armor. But necessity is a powerful teacher. When your survival depends on solving a problem, you find ways to solve it quickly. Dr. Vasquez pulled up one more file. This one showed research data from dozens of human worlds. Scientists, engineers, and military experts all working together on the same problems. The colony here on Kepler 442b was not just a mining operation, Commander. It was a research facility. We were testing new defensive systems designed to stop Valorian attacks. The attack 3 weeks ago was field test. Zixthara spun around to stare at Dr. Vasquez. You let the Empire destroy your colony as an experiment. We knew the attack was coming. Valorian fleet movements are not secret. We evacuated most of the civilians to hidden shelters before your ships arrived. The people who stayed behind were volunteers who knew the risks. The human's voice became quieter, sadder. They died to gather the information other colonies needed. They sacrificed themselves so that humans elsewhere would have a better chance to survive. Zixthara felt her understanding of humans shift completely. She had seen their willingness to die for each other in the shelter. But this was something beyond simple courage. It was strategic sacrifice for the good of their entire species. The research data collected here has already been sent to 43 human worlds, Dr. Vasquez continued. They now know exactly how to build defenses that can stop the type of assault that destroyed this colony. And my hunt for you provided additional valuable data about how individual Valorian warriors think and fight. Especially important data about how they can be manipulated, misdirected, and eventually convinced to show mercy. Dr. Vasquez smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Did you think it was accident that you found the shelter with the survivors? I led you there on purpose. I wanted to see how you would react to defenseless humans, especially children. Zixthara remembered the little girl with the stone carving. The way the child had looked at her without fear, asking simple questions that cut straight to the heart of complex problems. You used those people as test subjects to study my behavior. I used volunteers who understood the purpose, including the children. Young humans adapt to dangerous situations faster than adults. That little girl knew exactly what she was doing when she showed you her carving. The room was quiet for several minutes while Zixthara tried to process everything she had learned. Humans were not the primitive, weak species the Empire believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were intelligent predators who had learned to hunt enemies stronger than themselves. What happens now? Zixthara asked. Now you have a choice. You can complete your mission and take me back to your commanders. I will answer their questions and give them the information they expect to receive. That information will help them understand human capabilities better, which will actually make them more dangerous enemies. Dr. Vasquez paused. Or you can choose to see the larger picture. The Empire is about to face an enemy unlike any it has encountered before. An enemy that gets stronger every time it loses a battle. An enemy that turns defeat into education, and education into victory. You want me to betray my people. I want you to save them. The Empire's current strategy will lead to a long, bloody war that both our species will regret. But if some Valorians understand what they are really facing, maybe different choices can be made. Dr. Vasquez walked to the control room's main display and activated a final program. The screen showed a countdown timer. In 30 minutes, this facility will self-destruct. All the research data has already been transmitted to other human colonies. The survivors in the shelters have escape routes that lead to pickup points where other humans will collect them. She looked directly at Zixthara. You can arrest me now and try to get both of us out before the explosion. Or you can let me complete my final task and walk away." "What final task?" Dr. Vasquez gestured to the equipment around them. "This control room contains the most advanced human technology on the planet. If your people capture it intact, they will learn how to counter some of our new defenses. I need to make sure that doesn't happen." Zixthara looked at the countdown. 28 minutes. Even if she arrested Dr. Vasquez now, she probably could not get them both out of the tunnels in time. The human had planned this perfectly, but as she stood in the control room, watching the woman who had taught her more about war and courage than 20 years of conquest, Zixthara realized something that shocked her more than anything else. She was not angry. She was impressed that Dr. Elena Vasquez was one of the finest warriors she had ever encountered. And in a few minutes, she was going to die to protect her people's secrets, just like any honorable Valorian soldier would do. Zixthara made her choice. She walked to the door, picked up her weapons, and started toward the tunnel entrance. "Commander," Dr. Vasquez called after her, "what will you tell your superiors?" Zixthara paused in the doorway. "I will tell them the truth. That I found a human engineer who died when the mining facility collapsed. I will tell them that humans are more dangerous than we realized and that we need to find better ways to deal with them." "And will they listen?" "Some will. And maybe that will be enough." As Zixthara walked through the tunnels toward the surface, she could hear Dr. Vasquez's voice over the speakers one last time. "Thank you for showing me that not all Valorians are monsters, Commander. I hope someday our peoples can find a way to coexist." 25 minutes later, Zixthara stood on the surface of Kepler 442b and watched the mountain shake as explosions collapsed the mining tunnels forever. Dr. Elena Vasquez was gone, along with all the secrets she had protected. But the most important secret had walked out with Zixthara. The knowledge that humans were not weak survivors, but patient hunters. And the hunt for the Valorian Empire had only just begun.